Okay, I haven't seen very many good explanations on how coaster brakes work. Often seen in BMX bikes, kids bikes, beach cruiser bikes. This one's from my beach cruiser, which is a motorized gas bicycle. So basically, there's some threads in here, and when the gear is turned one direction, it pushes this forward with the threads, and when it's turned the other direction, it pulls it this way. So you kind of have this action like this because there's these really coarse threads over here. We'll take it apart and look at that in a minute. So what does that do? Well, there's these brake shoes which push against the inside of the hub. So those are going to go right here. See, there's this kind of groove here. Going to go like that and like this right here. See? So they're loose in the hub, and then when you pedal backwards, it pushes them out against the hub, and you brake. And when you go the other way, then they're out of the way, right? But that doesn't take care yet of sort of the ratcheting function, you know, the fact that you can freewheel, that you can coast without pedaling, without your pedals moving at all. How does that work? Well, the inside of the hub is kind of conical on this side. So when you pedal this direction, which is the forward direction, what happens? Well, it pulls it this way, and this grabs against the inside of the hub, and then your hub is turning with the pedals, and that can just happen forever. And you can see that this starts to get really tight here. So that's essentially it as far as a functional perspective goes. Well, let's take this apart and see how it works further inside. So there's this stop that keeps everything together here. And there's a third bearing inside. Now, there's actually 3 ball bearings in this. 2 of them go right here and right here, and those are the main bearings that the hub rides on. And this is a bearing for this assembly, which is loose right here, and you'll see how that works in a second. So we'll take this off, all the way off here. Bearing comes out. There's another race inside there, right? And there's a race here, inner and outer race. There's the ball bearing. So that keeps this thing kind of from wiggling around. But if we take this whole assembly off, here's just a shaft. This is essentially all one piece. I guess it threads together. There's no moving parts. I didn't take it apart because it seems to be solid and usable. This little doohickey right here is attached to a spring. We'll actually unscrew this whole thing here. So there's these really coarse threads here. And there's those same threads on the inside and here. If you can see those sort of. But this is just on a spring here with a little washer in there as a stop for the spring. And this little guy right here basically just kind of sticks to the spring, and then when it all goes together, there's a couple of notches right in here that this slides into. So with that said, let's put it back together and see if we're still doing this right. So let's make this set down flat in here. This kind of got to twist the spring to compress it to get it to go in there. And then that just kind of lightly starts to screw on there, and you can see how coarse those threads are. You know, you hardly have to go a fraction of a turn before your coaster brakes start to grab. And then that goes into that slot there, and we're back where we were.